Welcome everybody to another episode of Widescreen. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Anthony.
Thank you. And yeah, we're here with a new episode. Today we're going to talk about something that is undear to our hearts, I guess. Movies that begat unwarranted sequels. Now, I should explain. We're not going to talk about movies that a good movie that just had a bad sequel, or something like horror franchises where a killer keeps going sequel to sequel, bad sequel here, bad sequel there. What I mean by unwarranted sequel is a movie that had a beginning, a middle, and an end, and there was no further adventures of anything. There was no reason to continue anything. It was over. It told its story, good or bad. It told the story it wanted to tell, and it was done. Yet it might have been a hit or well received, so the studios poured money into a sequel, and they usually failed, both artistically and financially and critically. But that's what I mean by unwarranted sequels. Just films that you told your story, there's no reason to continue. No reason. Someone, when I announced that I was going to do this episode, that we were going to do this episode, they said to me, "So you've got to talk about Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull." And I'm like, "No.
No, we don't.
Number one, it's not as bad as people say it is.
No, it's
and
not.
and number two, that's not the kind of sequel. I hope they do Indiana Jones movies until I die, or till Ford dies. If that's something you could do forever and ever. Star Wars films, even films like Die Hards and Lethal Weapons and horror franchise. You could just go on and on and on, good or bad. Those are things where you could just keep going. But so anyway, that's what we mean by unwarranted sequels. And I'll start with one.
Okay.
Saturday Night Fever, 1977.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's dated, but if you can get past the look of the film and the soundtrack, which I think is awesome, it's a great film.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great film. I thought, do you like it? You like the movie?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's.
I thought Travolta was Oscar worthy. He's wonderful.
Like you said, it's dated. It's
Oh,
a little
yeah,
cheesy.
yeah.
It's
It promotes disco lifestyle.
Right.
Ugh. But Travolta really gives one of his best performances, and it's very well done by John Badham, who went on to do great popcorn movies like Blue Thunder and, for some people, Short Circuit. And my favorite Dracula of all time with Frank Langella from '79. But and it's a serious film, about a bunch of guys in Brooklyn wondering what to do with their life, and it's a great film, and it told the story of Tony Manero. And he meets a girl and, fucks around and learns about life and learns that there's more to life than just going out and disco dancing. And he learns how to be a man and how to love. And great film. 77. 83, 4, 5. I think it was 85, actually. Sylvester Stallone gets the bright idea of doing a sequel to that. Staying Alive,
right?
Which is just one of the biggest pieces of garbage I've ever seen. I saw it because Sly directed it. Travolta at the time, hey, Travolta's in it. It's bad. It looks bad. Tony Manero goes off to dance in a Broadway show, which looks like a high school production when they get to it at the end. But and he's bouncing back and forth off of two different women. But he wants, it's going to be a Broadway dancer, which goes completely against his character and his lifestyle and his goals that he spoke about in Saturday Night Fever. Like there was no Saturday Night Fever it was a huge hit, but nobody knew it was going to be this phenomenon. So it was basically a small, independently financed slice of Brooklyn life during the disco era that told a small tale of Tony Manero and his group of, friends. It didn't. And now the further adventures of Tony, it just doesn't warrant a sequel, good or bad. And it was very bad, and it's one of the worst sequels ever made, one of the worst movies of the 80s. he's not even Tony Manero anymore. He's not right. His hair's not right. He's all buffed up, like he worked out, and he's all buff, and he doesn't have the same accent he had, and it's ridiculous. It's a terrible film from beginning to end. But I figure that was a good starting example of what we're talking about. They're completely unwarranted, and thankfully, audiences stayed away.
Yeah, I'm glad that you kind of brought up the reasoning for this show at the beginning of it, because that's kind of what I had. I was going to go into more, mention a little bit about how your horror movies really emphasize the unnecessary sequel.
Yeah.
In terms of, you have your Halloweens, you have your Friday the 13th, your Nightmare on Elm Streets, your Texas Chainsaw Massacres, all these, movies that they just keep forking out money. The Saws, that kind of thing.
They're going to restart that again. They did the final one. They said the book's closed. Now they're going to do another.
And they're going to open it up
Jesus
again. Okay.
H.
Well, the first one was excellent. I thought the first
I love
one
the first
was
one,
really
and the
good.
second one is good.
And the second
and
one,
then they
third,
just
fourth, fifth,
progressively
sixth
got worse and worse.
Cheesier and dumber. But one of the movies that I kind of pulled out of that genre that say that, like you said, a beginning, a middle, and an end. Blair Witch.
I almost put that on my list.
Not necessarily a great movie.
It is necessarily a great movie.
It wasn't that good of a
Love
movie.
it.
But it brought forward a style that's kind of jumped into the movie scene, like Quarantine and Paranormal Activity and
the director,
Unfriended, those movies.
The director, one of the directors, Eduardo Sanchez, I saw him live at the AFI, and he apologized for the found footage craze. He was like, sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on.
One thing they did brilliantly was their advertising. I mean, their advertising leading up to that movie. How many people thought that it was real?
Yeah.
I thought that was the biggest thing I pulled away from it was.
That was genius, and that was right at the
advertising,
the break of the internet, and they used the internet.
And we're not that far from Burkittsville.
No,
I've driven through it, saw the cemetery that
I want to.
They filmed at, bought dirt from the cemetery from a kid on the side of the road who was selling little grass.
That's
little
funny.
Figures and dirt from the cemetery.
Nice.
From
I would have
Burkittsville.
totally bought that too.
But did we need Blair Witch 2?
We did not. Even if we thought we did, which I didn't, we did not.
No, we didn't. It didn't have the same spark. It was like, okay, Blair Witch did something spectacular and different, cool. Let it go to the wayside and do its thing. We didn't need, a more serious horror movie with its weird backwards stuff.
Yeah, it's retarded. And I hated the idea they went with.
Yeah,
they're fans of the Blair Witch, so it completely takes you out of the Blair Witch world.
Right. Exactly.
So why call it Blair Witch 2? Yeah, ridiculous.
Yeah,
I hated that movie. I was crushed when I walked out.
I thought it was terrible
because it was directed by Joe Berlinger, who's he makes some of the best documentaries ever. He's the one that did all the documentaries of the Paradise Lost. The three.
Those were good.
Yeah, man, every one of them. And each time, there's 4 of them. And each time he did another one, I'm like, what else is there? Nope, it's great. Yeah, there's more to tell here. But yeah, no, I was crushed I'd say about less than an hour into that movie. I'm like, this is just bad.
Yeah, it's garbage. And then the whole ending came, and I was like, oh my Lord.
Oh, jeez Louise.
I just wasted how much time in my life?
And I hated that actor, Jeffrey Donovan, for years because of that movie. But he's a good actor. I like him. No, and that's a perfect example. Blair Witch, it's about, beginning, middle, end. At the end, everybody dies, and quote unquote, the footage was found, and that's it. There's no the continuing story of the Blair Witches. There's no Blair Witch in Blair Witch 2. It's like, and I won't even bring this up, or I am bringing it up, but there's a not so good horror film called The Haunting in Connecticut. That turned a little bit of money. It's not very good, but it turned a little bit of profit. And they made a straight-to-video sequel called The Haunting in Connecticut 2. And I watched it, that's when I was reviewing Movies for Hell Notes.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched it and I reviewed it. Haunting in Connecticut 2 is set in New Orleans. It takes place in the swamps, and there's nobody even remotely connected to Connecticut or the East Coast in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's about slave ghosts. It's called The Haunting in Connecticut 2. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. I understand making it a sequel to a ghost movie, but like Blair Witch 2, there's no Blair Witch. You're just getting the name in there.
Right.
Haunting in Connecticut 2 is set in New Orleans. Yeah. It's ridiculous. It would have been dumber, but at least more truthful. Haunting in Connecticut 2, New Orleans. You know what I mean? That would have been ridiculous, but no, yeah, that's a good example. Blair Witch. It's also making me depressed because now I'm starting to remember how bad that movie is.
Yeah, I know.
I saw it twice in the theater.
Sorry.
I saw it its opening weekend, and then right before it left, I said, I'm going to go one more time. Maybe I just wasn't. Nope.
Trust your instincts, Anthony.
It's really bad.
Trust your instincts.
Yeah, and I never rented it. I know I don't need to see it again. It's horrible. I'm gonna go one. I like this category that we're doing. I like this subject that we're doing because this next one is an unwarranted sequel that I like.
Okay.
But I still think
it
should not exist.
Mm-hmm.
Clerks 2.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Funny movie.
I'm waiting for 3.
But he's gonna do it.
I'm looking for Mallrats 2.
I am not. I will blow up every theater it's playing in.
No.
I'm one of the Mallrats haters, and I was a Mallrats hater before it was cool to be a Mallrats hater. Because of Clerks, I saw Mallrats opening day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you son of a bitch, you got me, you bastard. We should do a Kevin Smith show so we can talk deeper on this subject.
Oh yeah,
because I got a lot to say. Sorry about the Nick Nolte coming out there. No, Clerks 2. It's a funny movie.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it. I own it. No reason for it to.
No reason to exist.
Again, Clerks, nice little indie film. 2 guys. Shit happens. Movie's over.
Mm-hmm.
There's no further adventures of a video store or a, Yeah, it's but there's not a lot to say about this one. It's just because I like it. But it just.
Well, it had a good opening, At least they didn't change anything and try to make it, a different story about 2 different types of clerks and try to bring it together. At least they kept Dante and Randall and
it ends as it begins. And it brings us all back to.
And I like the beginning of it. He goes and things on fire, and so they have to find a new job.
Oh yeah, I like it. Don't get me wrong.
I thought it was great.
And forgive the pervert in me.
Crude parts of it, but
speaking of, forgive the pervert in me, but just watching Rosario Dawson speak about ass to mouth is just it's worth the price of admission to me. I'm like, yeah, continue. I hope this scene goes on like My Dinner with Andre. They're just sitting there talking about it the whole time. No, but it's a funny movie. But there's no. Again, it was a cash grab. There's no. You can't tell me Kevin Smith says, I just want to do the further adventures of. I think even for Kevin Smith, it was a cash grab because he hadn't had any hits in a long time.
Yeah.
But it does. I enjoy it. I own it. No reason for its existence. My theory on that and others that we'll talk about today is even if they're successful, the unwarranted sequel, take the cast. Take your crew and take yourself and your writers and do something else. Don't just bring us back to this again. And that's kind of the story for any sequel. Unless you're Star Wars or Indiana Jones, But anyway, Clerks 2, little example. But there's a good example of the flip side of the coin. I like it.
Right.
But it shouldn't exist.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, I'm a big sci-fi person. I like comic books.
I've heard that.
And have you?
Yeah.
Yeah, really? May the fourth be with you all, everybody.
I don't know if you know, but I kind of like westerns a little bit.
Yeah. So I was kind of going through, and these 2, there's actually 2 of them that came to mind when I was thinking about this. Some of my favorite comic books during the 80s that got me into comics books was by Jim Miller. And he came out with a couple of movies. that were done very, very cool. I think he wrote them, but they were original graphic novels. And that would have been Sin City and 300.
What do you mean, Frank Miller?
Frank Miller. I said Jim Miller.
I was about to ask you,
Who's
is he
Jim?
related to Frank Miller?
Frank Miller. Sorry.
That's why I didn't know
That
who
was
you were
a
talking
dumb
about. I'm
moment.
like, I don't know Jim Miller.
That was a dumb moment.
Yeah.
But again, good movies. I liked 300. I liked the first Sin City.
I hated 300, but I love Sin City's a masterpiece. Yeah.
I liked the way that he was filming it, as kind of a graphic novel type, graphic novel to film. Well, both of them, even Sin City.
Snyder.
Yeah, even Sin City.
Yeah.
But he did it. It worked. I didn't need to see it a second time.
Yeah. Those are two perfect examples. I'll start with Sin City. I saw the sequel. It's not as bad as they say, but it's not that great. I mean, it's okay. But yeah, there's no.
I turned it off.
There's 50 stories told in Sin City, and they all have a beginning and an end.
Yeah.
And Mickey Rourke dies, and he's in Sin City too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's that work?
It's another cash grab that didn't grab any cash because everybody said, "What the fuck?" And they waited too long. Some of these sequels they just wait too long, and that's how you know it's a cash grab. Well, let's just do another one of these. But yeah, no, Sin City's a great example. And here's something that's a little weird. I'm one of the very few people who I cannot stand 300. I can't. Visually, it's stunning. But I hate it so much. It's so everybody's yelling, the fake abs, the digital abs. Send them all to personal trainers. God damn it. It's stupid. But I realize I am the minority. But I kind of like the sequel. I wouldn't own it, but compared to the first one, I'm like, I didn't mind it. But you're right, it doesn't need to exist.
Yeah, but it's based on historical accounts, and they all died.
Yeah, I know.
So therefore,
And now part 2.
Yeah, part 2. Okay.
Yeah. No, I know. I get it. Yeah, it'd be like if they did a sequel to The Green Mile and Michael Jeter's character who got fried and comes back. Yeah. I'm back. I'm just a prisoner again. No explanation. That's like in Sin City 2. There was no reason to bring Bruce Willis back. A, he was dead. B, they brought him back as like a ghost, like a thought memory thing that she was having. That's really stretching it. That's really, really stretching it.
Yeah, if you have to stretch it, come on.
Yeah. No, those are two great examples. And since you brought up horror, I'm going to do one. Now again, like we said, horror walks a fine line. Even though we hate the sequels, you can do a gazillion Friday the 13th and Halloweens and chainsaws. But here is one, and I promise you I'm not biased because it's my favorite horror film of all time. But The Exorcist II: The Heretic. Not only is it probably one of the worst sequels ever made, if not the worst sequel ever made.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Absolutely no reason to go any farther with that story.
No.
None whatsoever.
Didn't really need to see backstory.
No. Demons in the girl.
Mm-hmm.
Priest get demons out. Demon jumps into priest. Priest kills himself falling down the stairs. Done.
Yep.
Demon gone.
See you later.
Yeah. They got a Richard Burton looking more drunk than he'd ever looked on screen.
You just made me think of one from your thing, but continue.
All right.
I'll bring up mine after yours.
No, The Exorcist II, and then they didn't put any thought into it. It looks cheap. And it's from a great director, Boorman, who did Deliverance, and Louise Fletcher, who had just won an Oscar for friggin' Cuckoo's Nest, Nurse Ratched, and Richard Burton, who I think is the most overrated actor ever. Maybe not on stage, but not on film. But they have Linda Blair hooked up to the. In the little glass, where is that little hospital thing? But it looks like a sound. You can tell it's a sound stage, and it just looks bad, and the sets look horrible. And James Earl Jones is the is Pazuzu the demon from the beginning?
Mm-hmm.
No, he's not. He's not a giant locust head.
Mm-hmm.
He has a giant locust head in one moment. Richard Burton sees him sitting there with a giant locust head. That's not Pazuzu. Jesus Christ. No, but the story was, everything was wrapped up.
Mm-hmm.
The Exorcist. Done. Over. The end. Closed book.
Mm-hmm.
And they do another one.
Yep.
I won't get on Exorcist 3 because that's actually an okay movie. But that was the writer of the original basing it on his book. And he didn't want to call it Exorcist 3.
Yeah.
The studio said, we're calling it Exorcist 3. So.
Which was the one that they did? It was quite a few years ago. I don't think it was Exorcist 3.
The prequels.
The prequel.
Yeah.
I actually didn't mind the first one.
I hated the first one.
Really?
I hated the first one. Didn't like the other one.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's a whole nother thing. But just very quickly, the studio, the great Paul Schrader, writer of Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, so on, wrote and directed. It was hired to write and direct the prequel. So everybody's excited. He'll do something with it, and he did it as a character study, and he didn't give enough scares. And
that's what I liked about it. It was more character driven than it was.
Well, no, they fired him.
Oh, so this was somebody
reshot
else?
his whole movie.
Oh, wow.
With Rennie Harlin.
Okay.
Who, while Die Hard 2 was good, fuck Rennie Harlin. And his is the one that got released. That's probably the one you saw. But Stellan Skarsgård still played in both of them. He had to completely reshoot another film. They just started from scratch. Okay. So he actually shot two. He actually sued to get paid twice and lost. Because they're like, nope, you signed on for the prequel and this is what we're making. And he's like, no, you just made one. Now we're doing another one. But anyway, so they added all the scares, which didn't work. I hated it.
Yeah.
And Shredder's isn't that good either. It's really boring. But they finally released that on video. And it's dull, Anyway, that's the story.
I don't know which one I saw, but I liked it.
If you saw it at the theater, you saw the...
No, I think I saw it on video.
No, okay.
So it might have been...
Was there a woman possessed at the end, or was there a little boy possessed at the end? If it was a woman, it's the Rennie Harlin version. If it's a little boy, it's the Paul Schrader version.
Yeah, I don't recall. I just remember finding it interesting. Yeah. Because it wasn't a scary movie. It was more kind of
well, then you probably
character-driven.
You probably saw Paul Schrader's version then.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's not garbage. It's just kind of dull.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like, jump out scares and,
Yeah, that's Rennie Harlin.
Linda Blair
pop scares
running down the, staircase.
Ooh, don't mention that.
I know, that freaks me out. I can.
Yeah.
God,
I love that.
But maybe I did. But you brought up, bringing up that one kind of drew me to another one that was kind of, beginning, middle, and no necessary to go any further with it. Poltergeist.
There you go. I almost put that on my list.
Yeah, Poltergeist.
I almost put it on there. Yeah, no, Poltergeist. That's a good. Yeah. They followed us to this house. Shut up.
And then
in part 3 they go to Chicago. For God's sake.
Skyscraper.
The ghosts are like, get your luggage. She's moving in with her aunt and uncle. Yeah. That's a good example. And here's the thing about Poltergeist 2. Completely void of anything that made the first one so special.
Well, the first one, they built all these houses on top of a cemetery.
Yeah. And
then all of a sudden in the sequel, they're buried on top of a cultist.
I don't remember,
thing. It was...
But an Indian saves them this time.
Yeah.
The Great Will Samson.
They totally threw away the whole, you move the gravestone, didn't move the bodies thing.
Didn't ya? Yeah. I love that. Didn't ya? Yeah. No, it's and the wittiness of it, the originality of it, the fun, all gone.
Yeah.
The movie sucked. It sucked. My son likes Poltergeist, and he begged us to watch part 2, and we're like, all right. And I watched it again. I hadn't seen it since the 80s.
Yeah.
But it's really bad. And he even said, I didn't like it. Good. And then trying to get that they're back. Oh, shut up.
Yeah, just stop it.
Why don't you go lay on a hospital table? Sorry. No offense to Heather O'Rourke's family. That was harsh. No, that's a good good example.
So,
got another?
Do I have another? I'm
saving my 2 biggies for last.
there's just so many movies out there that don't necessarily need sequels.
Oh, I had Sin City 2.
And I don't know
I'll give you
necessarily
one.
what to bring it up. I mean,
I'll give you a good one.
I could look at Fast and Furious. That didn't need to have a sequel to it.
You can, but that's an example. You could totally go
Donnie
on
Darko,
and on.
that didn't need a
Donnie
sequel.
Darko did not.
Did not need a sequel.
I still haven't fully figured out the first one yet. Don't give me another one. Yeah.
Donnie Darko is that movie where I either really, really liked it or I really, really hated it.
Yeah.
I think I'm leaning towards I didn't like it.
I love it. I think it's a great film,
but
I
I
can't
still walk away confused going,
yeah, I can't. I've seen it. I own the director's cut even.
feel about that movie.
I've probably seen the movie 6, 7, 8 times. I can't. There's some kind of time travel aspect to it.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody might be alive. Somebody might not even exist. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's fun watching it. And I tell you, the first time I watched that movie, I watched it. I was in my apartment. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning. I rented it. I popped it on. I had my 5.1s, and I had 2 speakers directly behind my couch. And I was laying on the couch, and that bunny, with the way they did his voice, I'm like, Jesus, I'm creeped out in here. 30-something years old. I'm terrified. No, that's a good example. Yeah, Donnie Darko, leave that alone. And to a greater extent, my favorite film of all time, 2001. Did we need 2010? But now that I'm saying it, because there are books. It's a continuing series, and there are, they go back to investigate what. So forget I said that, folks. Here's a good example: Grease 2.
Oh, Grease 2. Yeah, definitely.
And again, it's not just the fact that it's a god awful sequel. But where are you going with that? Just more kids at Rydell High. What are you gonna do? One a year for the rest of your life? It's ridiculous. And it's so bad.
Yeah, it's
but that's terrible. That's a perfect example of a really bad sequel, or a really unwarranted sequel. I have a Western on here, but I didn't like the original either.
Yeah.
But it goes well with our topic. Young Guns 2.
Oh, I loved Young Guns.
Oh shit!
I love both of them.
Oh shit!
Did it need to be made? No. But I still enjoyed it.
Well, here's the thing about Young Guns.
One of my favorite quotes come out of that movie.
What's that?
Well, somebody asks me something, like, example. So you're going to vote for Donald Trump if he's a nominee? I'd rather drink turpentine and piss on a brush fire.
Yeah. Who says that?
It's one of the sheriffs to Billy the Kid.
In the first one?
Second one.
My favorite line in it is James Coburn.
Mm-hmm.
Is that in the second one? He's in the second one?
Yeah.
But it's not fair because it's James Coburn quoting himself from Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, my third favorite film of all time, where he says you can take that whatever and stick it up your ass sideways and set fire to it. Everybody says, isn't that a great line? I'm like, yeah, Peckinpah wrote that for him, and he delivered it 20-some fucking years ago. Yeah. No, I don't hate Young Guns. I don't hate Young Guns 2. It's just,
they're fun.
Yeah, I guess. It's just
They're fun.
I don't like. But Young Guns 2. Number one, Young Guns 1 already just pisses all over after drinking turpentine. Pisses all over the legend of Billy the Kid as it is. And then at the end of Young Guns 2, I remember Kiefer Sutherland's doing some narration, and we all know the legend of Billy the Kid and what ended up happening. Ergo, story done, story over. And then Young Guns 2 tries to imagine it as Billy the Kid survived, and he's some old man talking to a reporter.
Well, that's historical as well.
That's retarded.
Somebody had come forward to...
Oh, I know, and it was found to be false.
So...
Yeah, no, I am... Yeah. But, good or bad, again, completely unwarranted sequel, Young Guns 2. There's no more story there.
Right.
Just get a bunch of other hot young actors and do another Western if you have to. The only good thing about Young Guns 2 was William Peterson, who I love, played Pat Garrett. And Viggo Mortensen was one of his deputies. I like that. No, Young Guns 2, yeah. One of the worst sequels of all time. But, more importantly, probably one of the top 3 unwarranted sequels of all time. Be Cool. The sequel to Get Shorty.
Oh, okay.
You ever see that?
Nah, probably.
It is a movie that is so out of touch with the character of Chili Palmer that Travolta wonderfully played in Get Shorty. It is so out of touch. It's set in the music industry this time. He's doing music instead of... It's so out of touch with the modern music industry. It's so out of touch. It was directed by F. Gary Gray, who did, Friday. It's so out of touch with the hip-hop world. Guy does hip-hop videos before he became a director.
Which did we need next Friday? But continue.
Oh, God. Don't get me started on that franchise. Did we need Friday 1? Do we need Chris Tucker to be breathing? I don't know. That's another podcast. But, yeah, no, it was so bad. And it's out of touch. It's ridiculous. Travolta's portrayal of Chili Palmer is not the same. It's like him in Staying Alive. He doesn't have the character anymore. It's totally wrong. Uma Thurman is cast. There's a really... You almost want to say... You can almost look at the screen and say, oh, you poor thing. Because there's a sequence where they're at a dance club. And Uma Thurman says, want to dance? And he says, yeah. So they get out there, and the camera's spinning, and they're dancing. And it's supposed to be there they go again! Remember Pulp Fiction? They're dancing together again! And it's such a desperate moment, and it's so bad. And you just, you really are. You're like, if I ever see F. Gary Gray, I'm like, come here, buddy. Give him a big hug. You tried, but man, was that a desperate... I don't have any sports references, whatever the last pass thing is, or the punt, or whatever. Yeah, it was more desperate than that. It was just horrifyingly bad. But again, Get Shorty, Chili Palmer, mob rule, Hollywood, done. Let's put him in the record industry. And thank God, Be Cool was a flop. If it would have been a hit, cool. Let's put him in the
let's
do this industry. Let's do that. Let's make him in the Coca-Cola industry. Yeah, retarded. But that's probably one of the most unwarranted sequels of all time. You have another?
I'm gonna throw my list. You actually made me think of a couple of them.
All right.
Ghostbusters?
Nah, it's a lesser movie, but
at the time I was excited about it. But thinking about it, did we necessarily need it?
Didn't need it, but I could have done 2 or 3 of those. I don't know.
You brought up Chris Tucker. Did we honestly need another Rush Hour?
No, we did not. Did we need a Rush Hour? No, we did not. Did we need Brett Ratner making movies? No, we do not. Yeah. No, we did not need it. Oh, man, Chris Tucker.
A little bit more recent. Do we need London is Falling?
No. We don't need White House is Falling either, or whatever that was called. No, we didn't. You're right, because you know what? I reluctantly saw Olympus Has Fallen. I'm tired of these kinds of movies, and I despise... I like Chris Tucker more than I do... What's his nuts? Gerard Butler. I will take 10 Chris Tucker movies. He can just be right in my face yelling like he does. Then 5 minutes of another goddamn Gerard Butler. But I went to it with a buddy. I'm like, all right. And I enjoyed it. It's not a masterpiece. I don't need to own it, but I had a good time.
There's 2 that came out around the same time, and I can't remember which one I enjoyed more.
Hopefully it was that one, because the White House Down one was really bad with Channing Tatum and Jamie Foxx.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it was fine. And you're right. You're done. And in a way, you can kind of make that argument with Die Hard. Even though I said I could do 20 Die Hards. But you're right. Nakatomi Tower gets the bad guy. You're done. But the sequels work, except the last one. But yeah, no, we did not. I haven't seen London Has Fallen. I probably won't. If it's on HBO, I'll stop on it and see how bad it is. But yeah, and nobody cared. Nobody cared. You can't just... These days, we can't just have... I mean, like, Olympus Has Fallen got some decent reviews. It was a big hit. Something we've seen a million times. But it was done well. It was well written, well acted, even by Butler. And it had some moments of originality. But
it was done.
Yeah,
It's like if you came back
dumb.
and did Air Force 2.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Why?
Now
would you
it's
do
the
that?
vice president, who also happened to be an ex-agent, yeah, ex-Navy SEAL. Yeah, that would be ridiculous. Yeah, it was too bad because you can't leave well enough alone.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, Olympus has fallen. What a surprise on how good that was, and everybody liked it. And let's try another one. No, God damn it, leave it alone.
Yeah, stop it.
Leave it alone.
You did it. Let it go. Find another script.
Exactly. Very quickly on these next couple, and then we'll get to my two biggies.
Okay.
Shock Treatment, the sequel to the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh, God. I own it. I haven't even taken it out of its
We own
plastic.
it. The music is okay, and it's not a bad movie.
Yeah.
It's not that good.
I just had it because it was Richard O'Brien.
Allison, yeah, that's right. Allison likes it, my wife. But you're going to make a sequel to the Rocky Horror Picture Show? Are you kidding me? And not even cast the same people as Brad and Janet?
Yeah.
Most importantly, because Susan Sarandon had gone on to do
Mm-hmm.
good work. But, no.
She is still an absolute beautiful woman, but her politics lately has been pissing me off. But I digress.
I unless they vote for Trump, I don't let
Mm-hmm.
politics get in front of a beautiful woman, get in the way. I thought she was liberal.
She is, but she's one of the Bernie Sanders peoples, which is fine.
I'm a Bernie Sanders
I'm totally
people.
cool about Bernie
I feel the
Sanders
burn.
and all. Yeah, but if Hillary wins the nomination, are you not going to vote for her?
If she wins the nomination, I'm going to vote for her because, and I know this isn't the way we should think of it, it's a wasted vote if we vote for Bernie if Hillary wins the nomination.
Oh, so if you mean
If Bernie were to win the nomination, there's no question.
Yeah, I'd vote for him. But if Hillary, most of the people, and she's said basically out loud that if Hillary gets it, you might as well vote for Trump. And that's the only thing that I really have a problem with her is that she's.
Well, that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah. So, because I don't think anybody.
Susan.
Yeah, no voting for Trump.
Yeah.
But it's that a lot of the Bernie Sanders that people who have been getting under my skin are the ones that I've been, Bernie all the way, but if Hillary gets it, I'm not going to vote.
That's
At
stupid.
all.
That's
and that's
stupid.
dumb.
They're both viable candidates.
So.
Yeah. Here, very quickly, and this is what I love about this show.
Mm-hmm.
We can talk about the shit that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Very quickly on Bernie, here's the thing. He wants to free college for everyone. He wants to crumble the grasp of the banks. He wants to stop the NRA from having such control. In the real world that we live in, that will never happen. Ever, ever, ever.
Mm-hmm.
But my thoughts on Bernie, I want a candidate who thinks that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's what I want. He won't get it done.
Mm-hmm.
But I want a candidate that's the way he thinks.
Mm-hmm.
Other candidates are, we're going to build this wall. We're going to, and whoever the candidate.
Mm-hmm.
When I get in, we're going to put more forces here. We're going to move this force here. We're going to They're all thinking
Mm-hmm.
about forces and
Right.
war and stoppage. And Bernie Sanders is talking about
Mm-hmm.
free college and
Mm-hmm.
saving people from drowning in debt
Mm-hmm.
and so on, and stopping gun violence or slowing it down.
No, I like
I
him.
want somebody who thinks that way.
Yeah, it's great, and I like that. I just honestly think, and let me finish before, after I say this, I think it's time to have a woman as the president. My ideal candidate would be Elizabeth Warren, because she thinks the same way as
Mm-hmm.
Bernie Sanders does.
No issue, yeah.
But to make the way to get her into the office, we need to have someone like Hillary to pave the way. Because no one's going to, as a woman, think as Bernie Sanders as a woman.
Yeah.
No one's going to vote for
no.
her.
I agree completely with what you said. But here's the thing. Much like Larry Wilmore always says, and I love Larry Wilmore, he always says, oh yeah, I voted for Obama because he's black. That's right. Much like, let's not vote Obama, and I voted for Obama, mind you, twice. But much like, let's please not vote for Obama just because he's black and we can make history, let's also not just vote for Hillary because she's a woman.
Oh, I agree.
Let's make sure she's the right person for the
I
job.
agree.
Like bringing it back to our podcast and movies, like the Selma argument that we've had. There was the big uproar about the director. Well, we could have made history by nominating an African American woman. That's fine, but at least for me personally, as a director, she wasn't nomination worthy. So let's not nominate her just to make history. You know, that's my theory. Yeah. But yeah, so we're both pretty much in agreement.
Just different sides of the coin, or edges of the coin.
Yeah, edges, I guess. Yeah.
Same side, just different edges.
Yeah.
But no, Susan Sarandon, she's a beautiful woman, and shock treatment definitely didn't need to be made.
No, shock treatment was awful.
Bringing it back to the podcast.
It's not awful, but it's not good. I didn't go see it. I watched like 30 minutes of it on HBO. Basic Instinct 2.
Why?
That's a why that actually.
You know why? Because they wanted to see if Susan Sarandon would show her cooter in this one.
Or Sharon Stone.
Sharon Stone.
Cooter. Hold on, let me take another shot of moonshine. Yeah. Yeah. No, I had a friend who used to say that. I was like, that's funny. I like that word. Apologies to all the ladies who listen. No, you're right, and that's it. They wanted her to be more sexy,
but
there
all
was absolutely no reason. None. And again, like London Has Fallen, they just moved her to London. Same shit happening.
Well, that's what they do. If they want a sequel for something that, let's put them in someplace else.
Yeah.
You know, Night at the Museum, the third one. All right, we've done America. Oh, I know. Let's send them to London.
Is that where they are?
Yep.
There you go. What's up? Just shipping everybody to London for a sequel. They want to
do a sequel.
That's where the next Die Hard's going to be set.
Rush Hour 2. You know, it's like, all right, let's send them to Japan.
Yeah. Oh,
get them out of the country. That's how they
for
make
the
a
record,
sequel.
I did see Rush Hour 3, and the only reason I did is because Roman Polanski was one of the bad guys. I was told. He's in it like 10 minutes. And John Lone, one of my favorite character actors, is the bad guy. And he hasn't done a movie for years. And it was just garbage. I wanted to walk out. I'm like, I'm leaving. But, okay, yeah, I think we got through my two, which I think are the two glaring examples, dictionary definitions of unwarranted sequels. I'll start with my number 2.
All right.
Home Alone 2.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I'm surprised he wasn't in London.
Sending them to another state.
Let's move him to New York. Yeah. I'm surprised it wasn't in London. Yeah. And I'm surprised that there hasn't been one. No, I mean, it's one big complaint about many sequels. It's the same thing over again. Home Alone 2 is exactly the same thing, just on a bigger scale because he's outside, but he's doing the same shit, chased by the same two guys. By the way, for some strange reason, dressed the exact same way. Pesci and Stern, they're wearing the same shit.
They have bad luck.
I guess so.
So
much for the wet bandits.
Yeah, little kids keep boiling their
I know, right. Maybe they should think of another career. But I mean, it's the same thing down to the fact that they lose Kevin in a stupid way.
And you think they'd learn the first time.
I was going to say, even though I think Home Alone is a classic and I love it, and it's a movie that actually chokes me up when I watch it, a couple scenes, and I think it's just a brilliant film, brilliantly done film. That is my one issue with it. I'm like, really? Come on. You would know before you're halfway in the air that Kevin was not with you. Yeah.
Especially after the first time. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. But, no, that's what I was speaking of, the first one. That's my only issue with the first one. Yeah, but the second one, yeah, Kevin wouldn't be able to walk out of the room.
Oh yeah.
You know, they'd be smothering parents. Yeah. But I mean, it's scene by scene the same thing, just on the streets of New York. Down to in the first one, he had his neighbor Roberts Blossom, the old guy, and now we have Brenda Fricker, who had just won an Oscar for My Left Foot, playing his mother. And now she's the homeless lady in this that he's scared of at first, but then helps him on his adventure. It's the same movie. But above all that, there's again, Home Alone 1, beginning, middle, end. Story done. Book closed. There was absolutely no reason. It was a huge hit, and at least they got John Williams to do the music again. But I hate it. It's just... good or bad, why is this here? I can top that.
You can top it. All right.
My all-time, in my opinion, and you may agree, and people may agree once they hear my reasoning, all-time unwarranted sequel of every sequel ever made.
We can knit Bernie's too.
Go ahead. He's still dead. That was the tagline for that. Bernie's back and he's still dead. I swear to you. Like, really? That's the tagline? It's interesting because this choice is from one of my top 5 favorite filmmakers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a sequel to one of his best movies. It won an Oscar for its lead actor back in the day. Wall Street 2.
Wall Street
Money
2.
Never Sleeps. Did you see it?
No.
I never thought I would say this about an Oliver Stone movie.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks. I mean, it's bad. Number 1, Shia LaBeouf is in it.
He's a good actor. He just sucks.
Well, he's bad in this. Yeah. But you saw Wall Street. Everybody knows Wall Street. And there's maybe a minuscule argument, very minuscule argument to be made. Well, we want to see how Gecko does in today's financial climate. Whatever. No, it doesn't work. Wall Street was a very decade-specific movie. You know, in that age of greed, in that age of the masters of the universe that Tom Wolfe coined the phrase. Very, I about to say gender specific, very decade specific on its view of money and corporate greed. And in Wall Street 2, Michael Douglas gets out. And I also don't like actors when they repeating a performance for which they won an Oscar for. I'm like, what do you...
Yeah, why?
How do you... Yeah. But he gets out. He gets out of prison, and he gets out to this new financial, and I think it's set in the late 90s, early 2000. And it just doesn't work from the minute it starts. The first, 30 minutes, Frank Langella, who is wonderful in it, plays a guy who's getting pushed out, and he ends up having a heart attack and dying. Michael Douglas comes in. So the first part is okay with Langella. Like if they would have just made a movie about Langella and not called it Wall Street 2 and left Michael Douglas out, it might have been better. But Douglas gets out of prison, meets with his long lost daughter who ignored him after all the hubbub of the first film when he went to prison. Played by Carey Mulligan, fine actress. Shia LaBeouf is his new Charlie Sheen, trying to be like Gecko, and Gecko he's given speeches and this and that, but he's a more subdued. Of course, that'll happen. And then there's even we talked about the desperate scene in Be Cool, and I never thought I'd say this in an Oliver Stone movie. There's a desperate moment where Michael Douglas is at a restaurant and he bops into Charlie Sheen. It's just a quick scene. Like, hey, you're out, hey, and you're like, and it's supposed to be our,
It's like bumping into Patrick Swayze in Dirty Dancing, Havana Nights.
Never saw it. Did that happen?
Yeah.
Holy shit. And he just happens to be in Havana? Isn't that a coinky-dink?
Teaching dancing, but he wasn't the same character, but he's teaching dancing in Havana.
He's not the same character.
No.
Oh, that's really desperate. That's really desperate. Yeah, but no. And it's
couldn't
that
be the same
quick.
character because it's before.
Oh, it's true.
the
He would have
events.
been like 70.
Yeah.
But no, it's, he runs into Charlie Sheen, hey, and he's out, and we're supposed to be awed by that moment. And I remember Allison and I looking at each other, oh, come on.
There's certain things you look for in movies like Die Hard. You're waiting for, yippee-ki-yay. But moments like that, you just gotta go, what are you doing?
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And then it has some financial stuff with Josh Brolin, who is kind of Gordon Gekko-esque. And then Gecko's on the other side of what he used to do, and Shia LaBeouf, and blah, blah, blah. And this whole time, there's this undercooked and underwritten romance between LaBeouf and Carey Mulligan.
Mm-hmm.
And then Douglas finds out about it and blah blah blah. How you me? Everybody makes up, and at the end it turns into like a romantic comedy ending. The last half hour is watching them get back together. Douglas get a conscience, and there's a really bad. I'm playing it back in my head, and I'm gonna vomit. At the end, Carey Mulligan is standing on a stoop in New York, getting into her apartment. LaBeouf is on the sidewalk proclaiming his love. Michael Douglas comes out of the shadows, talking about how they need to be together. Everybody's happy. Michael Douglas walks off with a smile on his face. Camera pans up. Movie's over. What the hell did I just see? Is this Nora Ephron? God damn it. Rest in peace. And the ending I just described to you is a Wall Street sequel. You know, it's just all the reasons that I gave. Yeah. There was no reason to make another. I understand if Stone wanted to do another film set in today's financial world. Don't involve your characters from Wall Street.
Yeah, exactly.
It just totally. I know people change, but the way Gordon Gekko was, he would not change like he did in this.
Yeah, and if you're popping it forward 10 years, you know, you'd have him change at the beginning of the film, not.
Yeah, and then get swept back up to the money. Yeah. And they waste Langella, and they waste Josh Brolin, and Carey Mulligan, who I think is a fine actress, and fine in every bit of its definition. Yeah, no, it's I'm sorry, Oliver. It's a dumb movie, and it's just too little too late, and my number one choice for all-time unwarranted sequel. Just Jesus Christ. What are you doing? Yeah. It would be like making Platoon 2.
Right.
Let's see Charlie Sheen at home. You know, what? You don't make a sequel to Platoon.
Or seeing old Charlie Sheen in Afghanistan.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Just because it's relevant.
Still writing
now.
his grandma who's been long dead.
Yeah.
I'm trying again, Grandma.
Yeah.
Trying to get him through Afghanistan.
Just because it's relevant.
Yeah. He bumps into one of the cast members who survived in Platoon on the street for just 5 seconds. Like, hey, how you doing? Okay. I have a couple of mentions here on unwarranted. We're good on unwarranted sequels. And here's one that almost got made and thankfully was shut down by its actors. The studio greenlit Easy Rider 2.
Oh my God!
Back in the 80s.
No.
And they came to Dennis Hopper who wrote and directed, and Peter Fonda about it. And Hopper told this story. He said, yeah, we'll listen. And they said, it's the apocalypse. The world is like a wasteland. And you two come back from heaven on these supercharged And Dennis Hopper said, we'll stop you right there.
Yeah.
No. And Dennis Hopper fought to get his rights back from Columbia Pictures. Got the rights back.
Good.
Dead sequel.
Oh my Lord, that would have been
Talk about
so terrible.
Unwarranted sequel.
Oh my
to
God.
Easy Rider?
Yeah, really.
What?
Really. Oh my God.
One Flew the Cuckoo's Nest, Part
Let's
2.
Yeah. You're gonna wear a skull mask and have flames coming off the back of it.
Yeah. So that's if that would have been made, that would have been my number one unwarranted sequel. And my last one to talk about here is a sequel that is completely unwarranted and probably even over Wall Street 2. The best example of an unwarranted sequel. Your story is done. There's nowhere else to go. And at the same time, I'm going to be first in line, and I can't wait. Blade Runner 2.
I'll be first.
It'll be out next year, and there's no reason for that fucking thing to exist.
Nope.
It's all philosophical at the end of the first one. You make your own choice of what's going on. You're done.
Yeah.
I don't know where the hell they're going with this, but I can't wait.
Yeah. Well, the original author wrote a second book, didn't he? So
Philip K. Did he?
It's based on that.
Yeah. Do androids still dream of electric sheep?
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope so too. But the director, I mean, number one, Blade Runner is one of my all-time faves. So yeah, let's do it again. And then when I heard Ford signed on, the director is the guy who did Sicario and the great underrated Jake Gyllenhaal movie Prisoners. And yeah, he's a guy. So I'm down. But yeah, completely unwarranted sequel. Anyway, that's our little diatribe against Do you have anything more to say about?
No, I mean, it's
besides
just...
stop it.
Yeah,
Hollywood.
I mean, there's a lot of movies out there, and it's, it's nice to revisit certain, characters, but
there's a place for it. Like
there's
Star
a place
Wars,
for it.
Yeah. It's like old friends.
There's a place for it.
And it's a saga.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason for it. Yeah.
Well, they're also made to be sequels.
Yeah. No,
nowadays they're making movies because they're meant to be trilogies. They're meant to have multiple parts. Either there's multiple books that are making the story go forward, or right off the bat you're like, okay, this is what we're gonna do.
Sure.
The Matrix. We had an idea. Did the
sequel
suck? Yes, it did.
But there was somewhere to go.
But there was some place to go with it. It wasn't, that the end of the movie, had a nice little package all, given to you with a bow on it. And, somebody made millions of dollars and decided, well, let's undo that bow.
Yeah,
and see what else we can do.
And even though
I'm not giving it to you yet.
Huh?
I want it back.
Oh, yeah, right. Now you
and I'm going to unwrap it.
And even though it's a lesser film, but I think it's better than its reputation, Godfather 3.
Mm-hmm.
That's warranted. Mm-hmm. There was more story to tell. Mm-hmm. Stop Hollywood. Mm-hmm. And now, good or bad, they're doing more aliens. We got another Blade Runner. They're going back, and I'm like, stop! Don't do that. Mm-hmm. Somebody's gonna mess something up. And Blade Runner 2, I hope they call it something else, could be the best film of the decade. Mm-hmm. It will never be as good as Blade Runner 1. Right. That's impossible. Yeah. So my wife would disagree, but hey. And it's gonna suck because he's going to use CGI, it. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the masterful things about Blade Runner, It's all there. It's tangible. But yeah, that's it. That's our Unwanted Sequels show. We have some time left, so we're going to do This Week in Film History.
Alrighty.
There's only a few. And on May 2nd, 1901, Bing Crosby was born.
All right. Go Bing Crosby.
Somewhere around May 2nd, 1920-something, he started beating his kids with a belt.
All right.
He's famous for that.
No,
he was in his Mary Crosby and other siblings wrote books, and he was a great father. Discipline-wise, he was a monster. Yeah. I don't know where you balance that out.
Yeah, really.
But they said he was loving, took care of the family. He never cheated. He was a family man. Spent all his time he could with his kids. But if you messed up, you got the belt and you got it hard. Mm-hmm. That's terrible.
Yeah.
He probably was raised that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, yeah. It was a different time.
Yeah.
May 6, 1992, Marlene Dietrich died. Never understood. I've seen 5 or 6 Marlene Dietrich movies, and a few are okay. Never understood her appeal. Yeah. I didn't live back then. Maybe she was new, and I don't get it. Never got it.
Different time.
But she's important, so she got a mention. The next two are films that opened on May 8th, 1943. One of the best westerns ever made and written, The Oxbow Incident with Henry Fonda. Have you ever seen that? Premiered May 8th. They stumble across some 3 guys that are going to get hung and they're trying to stop it and see if they're the right. Powerful film. And the last one, 20 years later, May 8th, 1963, Dr. No was unleashed upon the world, and so began the Bond phenomena. Yeah. That's a quick little This Week in Film History.
All right.
And starting our next show, we're going to come up with a new segment. We promised to try out more segments. We've been stuck on This Week in Film History for a while. And we don't know what it is, and we're going to figure it out and try it on for size.
Sounds good.
We hope you enjoyed the show. Post on the... It's funny, we're getting a lot of posts on the thing, but nobody's posting about the shows.
Mm-hmm.
So let us know what you think of the shows. They're listening, they're just not posting. But we hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you next show for a yet to be unnamed subject. I'm Tony.
And I'm Bill. See you.